Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're opening the case file on a chilling scientific murder mystery straight out of a Rome science conference. A story where absolute brilliance crosses the line into, well, pure madness. And navigating this incredibly lethal labyrinth, it's our lead investigator, the brilliant Professor Shonku. So let's set the scene, shall we? It's April 15th, Rome. A gathering of literally some of the greatest minds on Earth is suddenly overshadowed by a terrifying announcement.
Okay, let's dive right into this, because it begs a truly terrifying question. What actually happens when a scientist becomes his own monster? Right at this conference, a local biochemist named Dr. Daniele steps up to the podium and just drops a bombshell. He announces to the entire room that he's on the verge of creating a real-life Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde serum. Yeah, you heard that right. We're talking about a drug that literally strips away human morality and just completely unleashes a man's most savage, primal instincts.
And to top it all off, Daniele brazenly claims he's going to test this concoction on himself. Now, as you can imagine, this goes down like a lead balloon. Instant chaos erupts in the hall. Prominent, rival scientists, guys like Dr. Stebbing from England, Professor Kruger from Germany, and Dr. Gomez from Spain, they are absolutely furious. And it's not just polite skepticism, it's fierce academic warfare. They passionately protest this as unscientific, reckless, and downright terrifying. The whole conference basically devolves into a shouting match.
Now, what's really interesting here is the dramatic irony of it all. Watching this entire uproar is Professor Shonku. And get this, he isn't shocked by the science at all because he already secretly invented this exact drug back in India. But Shonku, being the careful investigator he is, used extreme caution. He only tested it on his pet cat Newton. And when Newton turned violent, Shonku immediately used his pre-prepared antidote, Anti-X, to reverse it. Daniele, on the other hand, is planning reckless human trials on himself with absolutely no safety net whatsoever.
And unfortunately, that recklessness quickly spirals into an absolute nightmare. Just 3 days later, the body count begins. On April 18th, Dr. Stebbing, who, remember, was one of Daniele's fiercest rivals at the conference, vanishes. His body is later found dumped in the Tiber River. The very next day, April 19th, Professor Kruger and Dr. Gomez are both brutally murdered in their hotel rooms. By April 20th, another past critic, Dr. Barney, is dead. There's a real ticking clock suspense hanging over Rome now. The skeptics are being systematically eliminated one by one.
So, the crucial point for Shonku is exactly how these men are dying. They aren't just being killed, they're being brutally strangled. The police MO notes that the assailant possesses immense, almost inhuman physical strength. We're talking incredibly deep finger marks left on the victims' necks. Adding to the mystery, a terrified witness at the hotel reports seeing a hideous, misshapen man calling himself Arturo Croce prowling the halls on the night of the murders.
At this point, Professor Shonku puts the pieces together and heads straight to Daniele's home at 27 Via Sacramento for a very tense confrontation with his prime suspect. Daniele just casually admits he's been taking his newly minted drug, just one spoonful a night. But the terrifying part? He admits to suffering total blackouts. He has literally no idea what he does, where he goes, or when he returns. Shonku, desperately trying to snap him out of it, reveals that he knows the exact formula and warns him of the horrifying side effects he saw in his own experiments.
And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer madness of unchecked ambition. Even when confronted by Shonku with the grim reality that his loudest critics are being violently strangled while he experiences these unexplained blackouts, Daniele flat out refuses to stop. "I must keep taking it," he insists. He is utterly obsessed. The pursuit of scientific discovery has completely blinded him to the monstrous reality of his actions. I mean, he even threatens to up the dosage.
Shonku realizes pretty quickly that he can't reason with a madman, right? So he needs an inside man. Enter Alberti, Daniele's assistant of 3 years. Now, Alberti has also noticed his boss's strange, distracted behavior and the horrifying pattern connecting all these victims. It's actually Alberti who helps Shonku piece together the exact motive here. Daniele isn't just killing randomly. He's holding deep grudges and hunting down literally any rival scientist who has ever publicly criticized his work. They know they have to team up and physically stop him before another scientist is murdered.
So they devise a tactical, high-risk plan for the night of April 23rd. First, a tense stakeout on the dark, deserted street outside the lab at 10:30 p.m. They're just waiting in the shadows for the lab light to switch on. That's their signal that Daniele has entered. Then, they quietly infiltrate the house, with Alberti neutralizing the servant with a quick punch. The final, critical step, ambush Daniele right before he can swallow his nightly dose of the serum.
Let's move on and see how this builds, because they burst into the lab, but they are a single second too late. Daniel sees them, and in an absolute panic, downs the serum. And right before their eyes, this mild-mannered 60-year-old scientist physically twists and contorts into a savage, hideous creature, half man, half beast. This is it. This is the Arturo Croce that the hotel witness saw. And without a moment's hesitation, the monster lunges at Shonku with that terrifying, bone-crushing strength.
What follows is an explosive, desperate fight for survival. Shonku is completely overpowered by the beast, so in a split-second decision of ultimate risk, Shonku reaches for the bottle on the shelf and swallows a dose of the serum himself. Yeah, you heard me. It literally becomes monster versus monster. Shonku uses the drug's unnatural strength to match the beast blow for blow, wrestling him to the ground. And he holds Daniele off just long enough for Alberti, who thankfully happens to be an ex-boxer, to deliver a massive knockout uppercut.
When Shonku finally wakes up in his hotel room, battered but alive, the case is officially closed. The effects of the serum have worn off. Alberti managed to secure the remaining serum as evidence. And, most importantly, the authorities compare the deep finger marks left on the murdered scientist's necks with Daniele's own fingerprints. It's a perfect match. The physical evidence definitively proves this mild-mannered scientist was the brutal serial killer all along.
And that brings us to the real core of this incredible story. When the pursuit of scientific discovery completely crosses the line of human morality, who is the real monster? Is it the beast created by the serum, or the man who willingly swallowed it, knowing the deadly risks? It's a chilling reminder of the dark side of ambition and the terrifying ethics of unchecked experimentation. Well, thanks for joining me for this explainer. I hope this deep dive leaves you with plenty to think about. See you next time.